Good day. We are tax honor students from the University of Pretoria. My colleagues and I will be discussing the topic of value-added tax. My name is Lenata and you will shortly meet my other colleagues. Moving on to what is VAT. VAT is the type of tax on goods and services that is charged to customers. Generally, VAT is all around us, and if you are registered as a VAT vendor, you will add VAT to the selling price of your products or services, but then you will need to pay that portion over to SARS. So SARS only uses you to collect the VAT on their behalf. VAT is added to most goods or services, but there are also goods and services that do not contain any VAT. If you're a registered VAT vendor, you can claim VAT from SARS from products or services that you bought if there was VAT included in the price that you paid for those products or services. Some basic principles of VAT. VAT will be levied at 15%, 0%, or some products and services will not have VAT at all. The amount of VAT payable to SARS will be calculated as follows. The amount of VAT you charged on your products minus the amount of VAT you paid when you bought those products. SARS will allocate you in a tax period category that will indicate the periods that you will be liable to pay VAT over to SARS. Usually, you will be in a 2-month period. It is always important to weigh up all of the advantages and disadvantages before you decide to register for VAT. I will now hand over to my colleague JJ.
There are some reasons you may not want to register for VAT. Firstly, you will have to have some expenses to make sure you comply with all the record keeping and VAT return submissions that SARS wants you to do. Secondly, when you are issuing an invoice for a sale but the customer only pays you at a later stage, you will have to pay the VAT portion over to SARS out of your own pocket in the meantime until you receive payment from the customer. In the case that a refund is due to you, SARS can take their time to pay you your refund. Sometimes you will need to investigate into the matter to ensure you get your refund. SARS can fine you if you did not pay the correct amount of VAT that is due to them before the deadline of such payment. You will need to allocate a lot of time to make sure all your VAT admin is up to date. But there are also some advantages to be a registered VAT vendor. You will enhance your business dealings. Many businesses do not want to conduct business with other businesses if they cannot produce a valid VAT invoice. Secondly, you can boost your business image by showing your VAT number on your business documents and webpage. You may also claim VAT back from SARS on certain products or services that you bought to be used in your business. Let's discuss the instances where you may willingly register for VAT or where you must register for VAT. Firstly, you can willingly register in the following scenario. You can register at the end of any month where the value of your taxable supplies, you can normally look at this as being your sales figure, exceeds 50,000 for the previous 12 months, or it is expected to exceed 50,000 in the upcoming 12 months. But in some instances, you will be required to register for VAT. At the end of any month where the value of your taxable supplies, you can also look at this as being your sales figure, exceeded 1 million in the previous 12 months, or where there is an indication that it will exceed 1 million in the following 12 months. How can you register for VAT? You can register for VAT on e-filing, or you can complete a VAT 101 application for registration form and submit it to your local SARS branch. But luckily, there is an easy step-by-step guide on the SARS website. But when should your VAT payment be made to SARS? As mentioned previously, on your category classification by SARS, you can establish your VAT period. You need to pay the VAT over to SARS before the 25th of the month following the end of your VAT period. For example, if your VAT period ends on the last day of January, you will be required to pay over the VAT before the 25th of February. I will now be handing over to my colleague Mampu.
I will be discussing the VAT rates. We have taxable and non-taxable products or services. Below are some examples of standard rated at 15%, zero rated at 0%, and exempt products or services. I'm going to start with the standard rated example, which is at 15% levy. When a spaza shop sells a packet of sweets, the VAT will be calculated as follows. The spaza shop buys the packet of sweets from a supplier, which should also be a registered VAT vendor, at 23 Rand, and you can claim an input tax of 3 Rand at a rate of 15% as calculated. When the packet of sweets is sold by the spaza shop to a customer for 46 Rand, the VAT will be calculated as follows. 46 Rand times 15 over 15, which is 6 Rand output tax that is payable. Therefore, the net amount payable to SARS will be 3 Rand. Zero-rated goods, these are supplies where that are levied at 0%. The benefit of this is that you can claim input VAT as it is a taxable supply. An example of this is if you own a spaza shop and you sell certain basic foodstuffs such as brown bread, maize meal, fruits and vegetables, paraffin, etc., you will levy an output tax of 0% on these products. This zero rating will, however, not apply if foodstuffs are prepared for immediate consumption. Exempt supplies are supplies which no VAT is levied. This is the last goods or services we will deal with. No output tax is levied on these goods or services, and thus no input tax is allowed as a deduction to the extent that this expense was used for making exempt supplies. Examples of this is educational services such as school fees, supply of financial services, which could be your interest at the bank and any donations made, transport by either taxi, bus, or train within South Africa, and the supply of residential accommodation. There will thus be no VAT on the above examples. I will now hand over to Lenata to continue.
The denial of input tax. So usually when you buy our products, those products will include VAT and you can claim the VAT back from SARS. But not all input tax can be deducted. I will mention the following examples. Entertainment. This includes the provision of food, beverages, and accommodation. So as a spaza shop, when you provide accommodation to your employees, the VAT on that accommodation cannot be claimed back. The second example, a motor car. When you as a spaza shop buy a motor car, this is usually a car used mainly for the carriage of passengers. The VAT on the cost of that motor car cannot be claimed back. Or lastly, club subscriptions. To conclude, if you are not a registered VAT vendor, it is important to look at the advantages and disadvantages of registering for VAT. We would advise you not to register for VAT unless it is necessary. We have provided you with a pamphlet containing important information regarding VAT. Please feel free to ask us any questions that you may have. We will gladly assist you.